What up, everybody? Long time no see, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Comic Chaser, my weekly comic review show. The show is not dead. I just happened to be really sick last week, and I remember the last episode where I tried to power through an episode being sick. I got in the comments that people did not like me coughing all over the episode. So I decided, you know what? Just take a rest day. We'll just cover whatever comics come out next week. And I know this video is coming out like Tuesday night, so like by the time you guys are probably seeing this, a new Wednesday has already happened. But we've kind of had to change upload schedules in terms of when the comic reviews come out, because I now have to pick up my comics on the weekends because my friend who gives me a ride to the comic shop every week we can only go on weekends now because it's his job. So we're just gonna have to deal with that. Now I pick up my comics on the weekends, read them through on the weekends, and then upload the video early in the week around the time just in time for New Comic Book Day. And I guess because this is coming out in time for New Comic Book Day, I'll also go over what I'll be picking up next week, which I'll kind of just put in a separate section at the end, so stay tuned for that. We'll see how that works. But also, real quick, I just want to address some little bits of comic book news and give kind of my thoughts on it. We got some updates on the vignettes for the Deadpool Batman crossover. There are some little vignettes that are going to be in there too. A Green Arrow Daredevil crossover written by Kevin Smith is going to be fun. Kevin Smith has a lot of experience with both. And this time we know it's going to be finished because it's only going to be 3 pages. So, yay. I'm actually really excited. Kevin Smith has done great work on both Daredevil and Green Arrow, so I think it's going to be fun. He has got a good voice for both. Then another one of the vignettes is Jeff the Landshark and Crypto. I love my boy Jeff. Crypto has always been one of my favorite superpowered animals, so I think that's going to be a blast. I did not actually pick up Crypto this week, which I'm kind of sad about because I heard it was really good. I might pick it up next week, who knows. If you guys think Crypto was good enough for me to pick up, let me know in the comments if I should go back and get it. Definitely let me know. But that's pretty much it. We also got updates on like Marvel Token Fighting Souls, which is basically the new replacement Marvel vs. Capcom, but it's an all Marvel fighting game done by Arc Systems Works, and it's very Japanese influenced, anime inspired, and it looks fucking sick. The roster so far looks awesome. I love that Kamala Khan has like her actual comic book powers of like stretching and stuff like that. She's got her Luffy going on, and that's pretty dope. And also Invincible Versus. We got 2 superhero fighting games coming out pretty soon this year, and I'm hyped for both. But yeah, with all that housekeeping out of the way, we have 10 books to cover, so I am going to really go fast through these books at the top of the pile and go into more detail with the ones towards the middle and the bottom of the pile, where I eventually to my pick of the week. So, as per usual, as always with these videos, overall spoiler warning for all the books that I'm covering. We're going to go through these as fast as possible, but this is still probably going to be a 30-minute video, knowing how much I yap, so sit back, relax, and listen to me talk about comic books for 30 minutes or so. Alright, first up, we have Powerman Timeless, issue number 404, the final issue. I thought this book was awesome. It's just kind of a fun popcorn, turn off your brain kind of thing. It's like a super OP alternate universe Luke Cage that's been through a lot of shit. And he has the powers of the Hulk, the Sentry, his own base powers, and the power of the Iron Fist. And might I say also the powers of the Sentry also come with the Void attached to it as well. So went through a lot of crazy shit. He fought like several like upper echelon like Elder of the Universe level characters. Some we know, some were original for the series. He fought Apocalypse, and at the end of the series, he basically became a Celestial and saved the world. I honestly could not tell you what was going on in this. I was just here for the cool action scenes and the dope art. Not to say it wasn't well written. I just, a lot of this was too high concept for my tiny monkey brain. But still, fun book. I love Luke. I thought this was a good time. You know, it's just a 4 issue miniseries, not a big commitment, and overall, it was just pretty cool. All right, next up we have Emma Frost, White Queen, issue number 1. I really enjoyed this book. I've been an Emma Frost defender since the early 2000s as a little kid. You know, when I first read Grant Morrison's New X-Men. I think Emma has one of the greatest redemption arcs in terms of like villain to hero, and like, to give Emma credit, Emma has stayed a loyal X-Man all throughout. Yeah, you know, she still has her darker tendencies. She's, you know, always gonna be Emma Frost, but like, at the end of the day, Emma Frost today is a ride or die X-Man. But she was not always that way. She did start off as an antagonist for our band of merry mutants, and this miniseries kind of shows some of her exploits back in the day when she was the White Queen, and basically, you know, when they are trying to like hold an important meeting for the Hellfire Club, it gets busted up by the X-Men, and now Emma is on a mission to figure out who is the traitor amongst their midst who snitched to the X-Men. Now, I'm already calling it right now. I'm pretty sure it's Mr. DaCosta, Roberto DaCosta's father, because we know Roberto DaCosta is Sunspot, eventual X-Men. And if Roberto DaCosta is involved in the Hellfire Club and he knows, you know, that like they are, you know, enemies to, you know, people that will help his son, he is more than likely snitching on him. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out, but we'll see. I could be wrong. It could be an easy red herring they're throwing out in the beginning. But that's what I'm feeling. I really like the art for this. I think the writer, Chu, has a really great voice for Emma in this time period. You could tell this is like, you know, early 80s, like mid 80s Emma, like prime Hellfire Club Emma, like stone cold, don't give a fuck, completely manipulative, like knows how to like not only work her body, her mind, both with her, you know, powers and with her own like intelligence. It's really great to read, and I don't know, it's just fun to get to see Emma as bad girl side again. Like, I don't know, I've got a weakness for the bad girls maybe, so forgive me for simping for Emma, but I've always been an Emma fan, even before Marvel Rivals with her like crazy thunder thighs. But yeah, solid book, great start to this miniseries. I can't wait to see more, and I want to see like kind of little like the little hints to the future that they might put in here of like, you know, Emma's like later relationship to the X-Men. Maybe even like show a little spark between her and Scott, because you know her and Scott were a thing for quite a bit. Alright, so speaking of X-Men, next up is Psylocke, issue number 8. This continues to be a really solid book. This dives further into Quanon's origins with her old childhood friend and fellow hand inductee Mitsuki. And we find out more about like Mitsuki's powers. She apparently can like see and communicate with yokai, and like also like share and siphon their energy and stuff. So that's really cool. Her powers are dope. She's basically like a yokai tamer. I'm sorry if you hear my dogs like going crazy in the background. They're being fed right now, so like they're barking like it's no tomorrow. But anyways, yeah, we get to see more of that backstory. Devin and John Greycrow like go into action to try and look for and save Psylocke, and they rope in Shinobi Shaw. I like that Psylocke has kind of built her own like solid supporting cast within this series, and it's a lot of fun. At the very end, we see she approaches her former master's house because she thinks, all right, if I kill Master Hayashi, you know, maybe it'll finally put your spirit at ease, and you know, you can finally cross over and be put to rest. Because like, you know, Mitsuki's spirit has kind of become this like vengeful ghost on Rio type thing. But when she goes there to the house, she is greeted by what seems to be Mitsuki. So, like, is she still alive? Is her sensei also a telepath and casting some elaborate illusion? What's going on here? You know, my hunch is it's probably some kind of illusion. It's too good to be true, or maybe there's something more to this Onryo yokai thing than than we're even initially led to believe. But who knows? Either way, it's one hell of a cliffhanger, and Psylocke just continues to keep the ball rolling in terms of really good action. You want to talk about another story that just like keeps running on all cylinders? Let's talk about Zatanna issue number 5, uh, written and art by Jamal Campbell. The Magician's Trap. This is not necessarily. I feel it feels like the penultimate issue of this arc, because Zatanna deals with a lot of the problems with the magic sword that she's been dealing with, that's been cursing her and messing with her magic. We get to learn a lot about her own personal story. She actually does get to run into her mother in this, and her mother helps her out a big deal. And a lot of this is about kind of the meta magic of words and stories. This felt almost like Grant Morrison wrote this book, because a lot of the narrative was about the power of stories and the magic that is contained within stories themselves. And, the Lady White and the Shadow Dude, whose name I can't remember right now, like the whole narrative device all throughout was like this like old school fairy tale. So like it's really interesting. Again, this feels like something that Grant Morrison could cook up, and I mean that as like a high compliment, because like this was great, but it was never too high concept where I felt my brain cooking. And just the art is just absolutely phenomenal. It's a lot of like Zatanna learning to ask for help, learning to kind of like not take things on her own. We learn more about her own personal story. If you don't know more about like Zatanna and her family and her own personal lineage and her legacy, it's a really fun read. And even if you do, like it's a nice new spin on it. And this looks to be shaken up to be one hell of a first arc, and I think the next issue will wrap up this first arc, and it's gonna kick ass, man. This book has been great. I've had nothing but like phenomenal things to say about this book. Mr. Campbell, if you happen to be watching this, keep killing it, man. Zatanna is one of my favorite characters in all of DC, and you are definitely doing her justice. Like, you and Paul Dini are two of the only people where I'm like, yeah, all right, I want more Zatanna from these guys. All right, moving on from magic, we go to something that is too cute for this world. We have Jeff the Land Shark, issue number 1. That's right. I I happen to both love and hate this little guy. He is a demon in Marvel Rivals. Annoys the hell out of me when he's on the other team, but at the same time, I also love him. I happen to own a Jeff plush. Yeah, I love this little guy. And this comic was such a blast. It was a lot of fun. It's a really simple, like, had a smile on my face all throughout Jeff adventure. Jeff falls asleep in Central Park after having a little picnic. You end up stumbling into the Sanctum Sanctorum, as you do, and then he ends up like messing with something he shouldn't, like any rambunctious little animal would, and he ends up like coming in contact with a shadow demon that tries to steal his shadow, and basically, it takes the form of Shadow Jeff and starts running amok. And Jeff is like, well, I can't let this, evil Shadow Jeff ruin my reputation. I gotta chase after it. He ends up running into his boy Wade, his buddy Deadpool. Deadpool tries to help him out. It takes Jeff a while to get Wade to understand what the hell is going on, and Wade kind of guides him through it and explains like what he has to do. And so by the end, like, he figures out, all right, I've got this. Wade gives him a little bit of a plot device to help him later, and then he goes off into the portal and tries to chase off Shadow Jeff. And it looks like this will be kind of just Jeff's tour through the Marvel Universe, getting to meet various friends as he tries his best to take down his evil shadow doppelganger. This is so much fun. I love the art. It's adorable. It's amazing how well you can write a character without having to use dialogue. Like that is a huge strength in terms of writing for Kelly Thompson, right? Like Jeff conveys so much, and of course the artist, does a lot of heavy lifting here too. But like with the even with like the little sounds that just come out of his, come from him in the speech bubbles, like you imagine in your head, and you can basically you could still feel what he's saying. It's like Pokemon, right? Like you understand what Pika Pika means, like no matter how many times you hear it because of different inflections and like with the art in combination with the writing, you can really still like hear Jeff's voice throughout all of this. Man, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this book. I had a blast. You want to go from tiny monsters to massive monsters. We've got Godzilla versus the Avengers. Now, I was really hyped for this because this is my version of the Avengers. As a kid, I was never really an Avengers guy. I thought the Avengers sucked. I thought the Avengers lineup was boring. I didn't care about anybody on the Avengers aside from Scarlet Witch and Vision. But, this lineup, Captain America, Spider-Woman, Iron Man, Luke Cage, Spider-Man, the new Avengers from like the 2000s to 2010s, that was my run of Avengers. That was when I actually picked up Avengers monthly. This was my team right here. So I was super hyped for this. This is written by David Walker with art by George East. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this, but art is phenomenal as well. And this is different because we don't actually get to focus. One of the big complaints I have on this is we don't actually get to focus too much on the Avengers. It's more focused on like Godzilla and like this team of kids who built a new version of Jet Jaguar, which honestly was pretty fucking awesome. Not gonna lie, but for an Avengers book, the Avengers kind of were just background characters in this. Although getting to see Godzilla fight Fing Fang Foom was awesome, and Fing Fang Foom being petty and being like, "No, I'm the king of the monsters. It's not you." I thought that shit was hilarious, and man, this definitely took me back to the early 2000s Avengers. Cause boy, was Maria Hill a bitch in this entire issue. This is probably my least favorite of the Godzilla issues. I think it's between Fantastic Four and X-Men for what is my favorite Godzilla one-shot. Next month is going to be set in the 2010s, and it's going to be Jason Aaron on Thor once again, and Jason Aaron's Thor run was amazing, so I'm looking forward to that one. I'm excited to see how they deal with it, how the God of Thunder deals with the King of the Monsters. But this was just okay. But I still had fun as a fan of Godzilla and this particular team of Avengers. I just wish the Avengers were a bigger part of it, to be honest. Alright, next up we have X-Men, issue number 18. This is Jed MacKay and art by Liso? Liso? I always mispronounce this. Dope ass cover. So we're dealing with 3K's X-Men still, and you also have the whole big deal with the forgotten twin with the biokinesis powers. At the end of the last issue, Ben, who has the alien construct ability that they rescued and they've rehabilitated, basically recruited Piper Cobb's mom, the mom of this young girl, to basically confront her daughter and be like, look, you know, you don't need to do this, and it almost worked. The girl finally got her own name, Robin, but she's still kind of blinded by the hatred and jealousy she harbors towards her sister. She's starting to forgive her mom because she sees that her mom is genuinely remorseful and sad for the loss and is regretful for not being able to be there for her. But she still blames her sister for taking her life away, essentially. Um, the rest of it is just Cyclops flexing how good a leader he is and easily dismantling these like rookie 3K X-Men who are just like full of infighting and stuff. Part that I'm a little iffy about, not necessarily a bad thing, but like 3K is approaching Hank and is like, "Hey Hank, we know you've got potential. We saw that other side of you. We saw the fuck shit you were doing in the Krakoa era with your original self. You've got potential to be one of us. Hey, if you decide to embrace that part of yourself, keep in touch. Don't do it, Hank. I swear to God, we just got you back, buddy. I don't want to see Evil Beast again. I hated that so much. I liked a lot of the Krakoa era. I thought the Krakoa era was pretty fire. One of the dumbest decisions they made of the entire Krakoa era was that whole arc with Beast, like, you know, overthrowing a whole country and using it as like a like station for his drug empire. It was crazy, and I'm as dumb as it is that they had to like kill him and replace him with a younger clone. I'm just glad we got the old Beast back, and if we lose him again, I'm going to be very upset. I'm not gonna lie. But still, overall, really solid issue. I enjoyed it a lot. Art's great, story's great, and it looks like we're finally going to get a follow up on the Apocalypse story with Cypher, Doug Ramsey. So that's going to be cool. All right, next up, we've got Absolute Flash, issue number 4. Jeff Lemire. This book continues to be awesome. Kaplan on art. This is kind of Wally trying to find his footing, and we get some absolute versions of some fan favorite characters. One, we get to see Ralph and Sue Dibney, who kind of run this youth halfway house or like homeless shelter for youth or for teens, and I think that's really sweet. The Dibneys are a very loving couple, and we also get to meet Linda Park. Longtime Wally West love interest. She's also a young teen at this homeless shelter, so we want to, very curious to see what her story is. We also see that Colonel West is trying to figure out, what the fuck is happening with his boy, and, what exactly Barry was up to. It turned out Barry was working with another scientist, and we know that scientist's name, uh, Eleanor Thawne, which you hear the name Thawne in a Flash book and you're like, uh-oh, that's not good. It's never good when you hear the name Thawne in a Flash book. Big red flag. And basically, we see some of the experiments that got loose along with Wally and Grodd during the night of the accident. And some of them are, pretty infamous. We got Weather Wizard, Heat Wave, and Firestorm. Pretty huge. And basically, Eleanor Thawne is using Grodd as kind of a way for Wally to do her dirty work by having Grodd lead Wally to all the other missing projects, and the first one they run into is McRory Heatwave, or I don't know if it's McRory in this universe, but they run into Heatwave. So things are going to get a little hot and heavy for our boy young Mr. West here. So I am excited to see Wally, come more into his powers. I think again the family drama within the West family between Colonel West and Wally is really interesting, and I also just like how like Jeff Lemire is balancing this frantic, anxious feeling and combining like Wally's neuroses and anxiety with his super speed. It makes for such an interesting character voice, which is why I really enjoy Absolute Flash. It's definitely like on the upper tiers in terms of the Absolute books for me right now. I would probably go Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Flash, Absolute Green Lantern, Absolute Superman, and then at the bottom is Absolute Martian Manhunter. Not that Absolute Martian Manhunter is bad, it's just Absolute Martian Manhunter is really, really, like, it's a huge downer. And while it's interesting, it's emotionally draining to read, which I think is on purpose. So, like, Camp is doing his job. But, like, boy, it's a tough read. But this is a lot of fun. I enjoy it a lot. Alright, moving on, let's talk about Superman Unlimited, issue number 2, written by Dan Slott, art by Raphael Albuquerque. This series continues to be really interesting. We find out more about Clark's new power, which I'm gonna call Super Saiyan Clark from now on, because like he goes gold, like after being exposed to enough kryptonite, and he has this like I think it said like 120-second window, or like a 30-minute window. I don't know, something like that. Like he has a specific time limit to be completely immune to kryptonite by expending all his solar energy, which is kind of like a mutation of his solar flare power. But then after that, not only is he powerless for a bit, he's also still vulnerable to kryptonite. So like now he can't even super speed out the way or anything like that. It's really interesting to see how he is learning to deal with this. Also, we get like more characters introduced to this. Not anyone new. We see Jack Ryder, the Creeper, is going to be playing a part, which is interesting. Since we are focusing a lot more on like Daily Planet stuff here. Now, I'm not reading regular Superman. Let me know, like, is this like stuff in Superman Unlimited actually playing a part in the mainline Superman book, or is this like its own thing? I mean, I know it's not in its own continuity, but like, I feel like him having like a Super Saiyan transformation would be also relevant in the main Superman book, but I'm not reading it, so I don't know. But, if you are reading it, tell me in the comments. And should I pick up mainline Superman? I haven't read mainline Superman in a long time, but if it's worth it, let me know. I might check it out. Alright, next up, we have another series that I have been absolutely loving, and that is, of course, New Gods, issue number 7. This is by Aram V, with art by Evan Cagle and Trad Moore. This cover is finally not clickbait. We actually have the Justice League helping out with the exodus of the, denizens of New Genesis. And basically, they land on Earth after being expelled from their home, which has been ravaged by war, and the Justice League tries to help them put things together. The government swoops in. I love the back and forth between Hal and Ollie, because Hal is, of course, the government man, and like Ollie's just like, man, Hal, no matter how many years go by, you still love the taste of leather. You love to lick boots. And I love that even though Hal is Mr. Protocol, John is the one who steps up and is like, nah, look, I've not only have I been a lantern, not only have I been an architect, I've been a soldier. And my time as a soldier has taught me that all life is sacred and all life should be protected. I'm not going to let you just take these people. We're going to give them a place to stay. And John builds them a whole ass like refugee settlement It reminds me a lot of I think it was Straczynski, John Mike. It's J.M. Straczynski who did the Thor run with the Broxton, Oklahoma thing. Reminds me a lot of that. We actually get to see Metron being Metron and being shady, putting all his pieces into place, and the people of New Genesis also discussing what role the new Avatar is going to play, aka the child new god who could possibly be either their greatest savior or their upcoming destroyer. And of course, now that all his kin are here, they have to break the news to Orion that Light Ray sacrificed himself in order for them to be able to escape, and Orion's taking that pretty hard, and he ends up finding a little kinship within this child who is actually trying to comfort him and like help him, see if he's okay and check in on him, and I think that's gonna mean a lot to Orion, and it'll kind of help maybe him foster like a better legacy, a more positive legacy than his angry, punchy one that we all are used to with the guy. But we'll see. I think this issue was awesome. This really showed how competent the Justice League is, and like it also just really shows that like Ron V really gets the inner workings of the DC universe. This is awesome. I thought this was great. And again, like the biblical parallels, the Exodus from Egypt, finding a new promised land, having this new chosen one that could help guide them to like the next step, in rebuilding themselves, is really dope. I can't wait to see where this goes. I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I can't wait to see like where Rom V takes us next on this cosmic journey that has now been brought to Earth. Last but certainly not least, I talked about him a little earlier. We are talking about Ultimates issue number 13, Ultimates 3.0, written by Dennis Camp, art by Juan Frigeri. I really like this book. Look, man, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The world's on fire in terms of shit that's going on, like the world outside our window right now, to borrow a Marvel term. And the reason I enjoy this book is because it gives me hope. And it gives me a little bit of escapism. Because clearly this is what everybody imagines when you think of a well-intentioned, idealistic, grassroots political movement that inspires the youth to be their own force for change and to kind of show the previous generation, who might be a little bit more closed-minded, who've been in power for so long, that we can do better, that we deserve better, that our world deserves better. It's a lot. I think a lot of the programs they introduced were really interesting. Some of the like devices they used, like essentially creating like a hyperbolic time chamber for the new superheroes, so they can get their own training in by kind of like copying the Maker's technology from like his hidden city. Really interesting and clever use of like just swiping your enemy's technology, and also like Tony starting to lean more towards the Kang side. Should we be concerned, or is this a good thing? The jury's still out on that, but Jan is still spying on us, so like I don't know what's gonna go down there. I also want to know what Jim Hammond's clear self-sacrifice mission is gonna be. With how he was talking, this was clearly a one-way ticket. So like I want to know what Jim is up to, like what was his mission. Clearly Jan didn't find out, but I want to know. And also, the way they worded things with this like hero training program within like Luke Cage's prisons and stuff. It doesn't go by just the hero starter kits. I forget what they're actually called. Origin boxes. The origin boxes that Tony prepared for people like Pete and other people like that. Instead, like they're just going to give people abilities just tailored to their own particular skill sets, which means that we might get like characters that we know in mantles that they may not have had before. Because, currently Hulk has the power of the Iron Fist, and we know Danny Rand is in there in the like prison training program. So like, is Danny gonna get a new power? I would love that because I haven't seen about my boy Danny in forever. So like, if we could get a cool version of him here, that would be dope. But I'm really interested to see where this goes, man, and I'm really rooting for the Ultimates. And again, like seeing this kind of positive, like change in political, you know, grassroots political movement, given the current state of the world, I need a little escapism to give me a little hope here, man. This is what I needed. This is what I needed. I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is just Dennis Camp, you know, using comics as a sounding board for his own political ideologies. Yeah, so welcome to comic books. This has been comic books for like the last 60 years. Comic books have almost inherently been like some type of positive or negative form of propaganda, depending on, the side of the aisle you're on here. But that's neither here nor there. Regardless of how you feel politically, I feel like this was a great comic. And that's why this is my pick of the week. Look at that. About 37 minutes. Nowhere near as long as I thought it was going to be for a 10-book pull list. But hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm sorry I was gone for about a week. And next week, I may have some more stuff to show off because I'm going to a Comic-Con this upcoming weekend. So I may pick up some stuff. Who knows? I know I am going to get a book signed by Mark Waid, hopefully. So fingers crossed on that one. But let me know what you guys thought about these comics in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to do all the YouTube things and leave this video a like, comment. Tell me any books you think I'm missing out on or that I should pick up. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any brand new episodes of Comic Chaser or any new episodes of our weekly podcast, the Channel Chasers podcast, where my friends and I cover various different TV shows, movies, and things like that, as well as various bits of pop culture news as well. If you enjoy hearing me yap about comic books, you'll definitely enjoy hearing me like go in depth about various different TV shows and movies and such. So definitely hit that sub button for that. And until next time, I will catch you guys later. Until then, peace.